Today, we're going to visit Cordoba in the province of Cordoba in the region of Andalusia. The first stop is the Alcazar. Remember, an Alcazar is basically a Moor fort. Cordoba was quite an important economic, regional fortified area of Spain for the Moors to extract wealth and control their westerly migration into the west. Most of these towns would have had, certainly if they had any importance, would have had a Alcazar, and Alcazar means fort. Now the original organized inhabitants were Romans back in 200 BC time. Romans were conquered by the Visigoths, which were tribes from Germanic tribes from Germany. And then the Moors came in. So if you're a history buff, there's a lot of history to take note of. Now these towers are pretty cool because you get a nice perspective of the area, the city, if you will, the region around it. Those are the garden of the kings of Christians. I'm not real sure, but the Cordoba was surrounded by a Roman fortified wall around the entire city, so I'm not sure how much of that wall still exists and how much of it was repurposed by the Moors. So there you can, and way off in the distance, you can see the Roman bridge. Now we're going to go to the Jardín de los Reyes Cristianos. See how big this Alcazar is. Now let's go visit the gardens. Quite expansive, well maintained, beautifully laid out. When you pay for the admission, this is part of the entrance or So just outside of the Alcazar, we go to the Jewish quarter, not that far away, number of blocks away. Jews were quite prominent and prospered in the area of Spain. Although during Moorish rule, they would have been considered more of a second-class citizen. They had certain restrictions. Let's go visit the synagogue. So I think this is interesting that they refer to the Muro Occidental, which means West Wall. In Palestine, in Jerusalem, the West Wall is famous or well known because that was the only part of the wall that they were able to utilize for prayer. So this house, Palacio Viana, the interior of it is not the greatest. It's worth a visit though. So I would say clearly the highlight to Cordoba is the La Mesquita and the Grand Catederal. It is quite a sight to behold, to be sure, in the interior. Now remember, the Moors had control of this region of Spain for close to 800 years. So they were well established. This mosque would have been the second largest next to Mecca, which would have reflected the importance of Cordoba to the Islamic governance, religion, and rule. So the Romans would have occupied, the Visigoths would have conquered the Romans, and then the Moors came in and displaced the Visigoths. The Visigoths were Germanic tribes. So they did a wonderful job of incorporating this cathedral within the mosque. Retaining much of the original architecture. So Cordoba had something like 300 mosques and palaces and public buildings. So this was a very, very important center for Islamic control of this region. The Romans would have been here about 200 BC. During the 13th century, the mosque was converted into a cathedral under Ferdinand III. Mosque would have been part of the Caliphate of Cordoba, or considered the Caliphate of Cordoba. It took 200 years to build this cathedral. That's commitment, a couple of generations. During the Christian reign, Spain was united under a Catholic monarchy, which would have ended centuries of Islamic rule. This woodwork is really fantastically beautiful craftsmanship. We're going to take a closer look at it, and even though everything looks repetitive, you'll see that we're going to take a little detailed look at it, and each piece, each chair, choir chairs they're referred to, has unique carvings done on it. On the newer part of Cordoba, in the Plaza Mayor, you'll find a coffee shop, Starbucks coffee shop. At least in 2019 there was one. I will note that Spaniards, it's very difficult to find just a coffee shop where you can chill and just sit outside and drink your coffee. That's not part of this culture. Let's have one last 360-degree look at this mosque. That's a nice little aerial view of the mosque and the church. That's the plaza. Get your Starbucks. Iglesia de San Miguel, still functional. When I was there, there was a wedding going on. Thank you for watching.